Hi, I'm Fraser Douglas, the avid tent camper. In this video, I want to tell you about some great tent camping destinations along Lake Michigan's Gold Coast. This Gold Coast is defined by beautiful sandy beaches and towering sand dunes that stretch about 250 miles from Gary, Indiana, up to Michigan's LEELANAU Peninsula. This Gold Coast stands in sharp contrast to Lake Michigan's western shore along Wisconsin that is characterized by steep bluffs and rocky shorelines. Along this Gold Coast, you'll find 11 state parks and 3 federal properties that have nice campgrounds. We especially enjoy visiting this area in the middle of the summer because the cool waters of Lake Michigan offer a great escape from the oppressive summer heat. So let me start at the southern end of this Gold Coast and work my way north. The Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore, managed by the National Park Service, is located just 15 miles east of Gary, Indiana. Dunewood Campground has 66 sites that are available on a first-come basis only with no reservations. This campground has some great tent-friendly campsites that are large and level with lots of understory buffer space between campsites and very nice bathrooms. However, the sites do not have water or electric hookups and are located about 1.5 miles away from the beaches. When visiting the dunes, be sure to visit the Visitor Center where you will find several interesting exhibits about the geology of the area. The Indiana Dunes State Park is located in the middle of the National Lakeshore and has 140 campsites. The fees in this campground are higher than the fees in the National Lakeshore, but the sites are very nice. The bathrooms are very nice. Sites on the inside of the loops tend to have very little vegetation or buffer space between campsites, but sites on the outside of the loop have offer more privacy. One advantage of this campground over the campground in the lakeshore is that it's just a short walk down to the beach. Just 8 miles north of the lakeshore, you'll cross over into Michigan. Before proceeding, let me just state I love camping in Michigan state parks because they offer so many fun things to do, but their campsites tend to be very crowded. Frequently, the boundary between two campsites is nothing more than an imaginary line. For example, this photo taken in a Michigan State Park shows our eating area and tarp in the foreground and our neighbor's 2 tents in the background. And now let me tell you about some great destinations along this Gold Coast. Warren Dunes is the southernmost Michigan State Park. It has 2 campgrounds. The modern campground has 182 sites and the rustic campground has 37 sites. Ava and I would prefer to stay in the modern campground because it has electricity, but many tent campers prefer the rustic campground. Van Buren State Park has 1 large campground with 200 campsites. Most of these campsites have some shade, but as a result of the lack of buffer zones between campsites, our neighbors walk through our campsite several times on the way to and from the bathroom. You may want to bring bicycles when you visit this park because the walk from the campground out to the beach is over 1/2 mile, but there is a nice bike trail here. Holland State Park is one of our favorite destinations along this Gold Coast. It has 2 campgrounds with a total of 310 campsites. The beach campground really isn't a campground. It's an asphalt RV parking area with 97 sites. Now, we didn't know this fact the first time we reserved a campsite here, and by the time we got here, all the other sites were taken. So we had to set up our tent on the asphalt pad. In addition to the fact that we had no place to drive our tent stakes, it was very windy. The Lake Makatawa campground is much better suited for tent camping. And the Pine side would be our first choice for tent camping. It has a total of 116 campsites, lots of shade trees, and a very nice bathroom. The Woodstock side has 95 campsites with sandy soil and relatively few shade trees. From the Lake Makatawa campground, you can drive or bike out to a very large beach area that offers volleyball and lots of other recreational activities. You can also hike out to the Big Red Lighthouse and take photos. Or you can hike up the stairs to the top of Mount Pisgah sand dune that offers a panoramic view of the area. The Ottawa Beach General Store, located just across the street from the park, offers camping supplies, souvenirs, and lots of treats. Just outside the park, you'll find lots of shops, restaurants, and fun things to do in Holland and in SAUGATUCK Beach. Or you can drive 40 miles into Grand Rapids and find a nice zoo and other fun things to do. If you want to set up your camp right on the beach, then you may want to consider Grand Haven State Park. It has 174 very sandy beach campsites with relatively little shade. If you want a shady camping destination, you may want to consider PJ HOFFMASTER State Park. It has 293 campsites nestled in a beautiful forest setting. Muskegon State Park offers a sunny campground and a shady campground. Ava and I prefer the Lake Michigan campground because it has 92 very shady sites, a very nice bathroom, and a short walk out to the beach. It also offers some towering sand dunes between the campground and the beach. Fishermen may prefer the Channel Campground that has 140 sunny campsites located near a good fishing area. Within the park, you may want to explore this historic blockhouse and get some ice cream and other treats from this little shop. Silver Lake State Park is especially popular with off-road vehicle enthusiasts. It has 200 campsites plus an area on the beach and dunes where people can ride their ATVs. Charles Mears State Park was the first Michigan state park Ava and I camped in, and we immediately fell in love with it because it is just 6 blocks away from a very charming little lakefront resort town. Although the campground is basically an RV park with 175 spots, you can find a few spots with a little sand and a shade tree to pitch a tent. It has a very nice beach and is located near a great fish fry takeout shop. Ludington State Park is another one of our favorite camping destinations along this Gold Coast, but we have to reserve our campsites at least 6 months in advance for summer weekends because this park is so popular and offers so many fun things to do. The park has 3 modern campgrounds with a total of 352 sites, plus a walk-in campground with 10 sites. We prefer the Beechwood campground because it's very shady, but it is the furthest campground from the beach. A bicycle would be very nice to have. The Lake Michigan Recreation Area has a campground with 99 campsites that's organized into 4 loops. These campsites are large, widely dispersed, and very shady. They make a great tent camping destination. The Orchard Beach State Park Campground has 166 campsites that sit on a high bluff high above Lake Michigan. The view is very nice, but the beach here is very small. The Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore, managed by the National Park Service, is another great tent camping destination because it offers so many fun things to do. We prefer camping in the Platte River Campground. It has 174 sites, including this walk-in campsite that is our all-time favorite campsite. But many tent campers prefer the DHD Campground. It is a rustic campground with dirt roads, 88 campsites, a family-friendly atmosphere, and access to bike trails. While camping in the Lakeshore, be sure to check out the Visitor Center where you'll find many interesting exhibits. If you're in good shape, you may want to climb up the massive sand dune that is located there in the Lakeshore. But when you get to the top, don't try to go down the other side. When camping here, you should also travel 25 miles to the east to Traverse City. It is a small little resort town with lots of fun things to do and great places to eat. LEELANAU State Park, located at the far northern tip of the LEELANAU Peninsula, has 52 rustic campsites. In addition to these state and federal properties with campgrounds, there are at least 8 county and township parks that are available in case the state and federal parks are full. But generally, these parks have very few recreational activities. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this little overview and that you've learned a little bit more about the great campgrounds along this beautiful coastline. For more information about great tent camping destinations in the Lake Michigan area, please visit my website, www.basictentcamping.com. A link to my site is provided in the description below. Also, check out my book, The Family Camping Guide to Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, and Indiana. Remember, take more trips, travel further, visit more attractions, and save money. Go tent camping.